Hey, so this is kind of a wrap up Friday show. I really like this show because I can't screw up. Well, that's not true. I could totally screw up. Um, I already screwed up. So, but the thing is, I'm not going to fix any of this. I'm just going to talk. And I'm going to go through. So, this is sort of a breakdown. I haven't done a sort of wrap up show like this before. I'm just kind of laid back. You can see I'm wearing an Underwood shirt because I don't really, this isn't important. But it is sort of important. This is going to be three different sections. So the first section, I'm going to make a correction on a video that I did this week on the draft, about the draft Bernie campaign. The second part, I'm going to read through some comments and respond to those. And then in the third part, I'm going to talk more about me. And you could just skip that part because it's not really important. That doesn't matter. But first, so draft Bernie. So I did a video this week on the draft Bernie campaign, draft Bernie for a People's Party campaign. So I got this email from RJ Mastro. He's the co-state lead for the state of Colorado's draft Bernie for a People's Party campaign. I'm going to read part of his email here, because I made a mistake in the video, and I want to make sure people understand what the draft Bernie for a People's Party campaign is. So this statement here, he says, "Draft Bernie is not about drafting him to run for president or any elected office. It is about drafting him to found a People's Party to replace the defunct Democratic Party by mobilizing his millions of supporters from the Democratic Party into a new People's Party by whatever name or means necessary." Okay, so I made the mistake in the video thinking that the draft Bernie for a People's Party campaign was about having him run for 2020 within a People's Party. That's not the case. So the actual campaign is about starting a new party. Now, I do kind of allude to that in the video, but I said if it is about starting a party, then there are more issues to having that be successful. And one of the issues that I mentioned is just simply money. So I read through their case for why we should have a People's Party. They make a lot of great points. So I'm going to link to that in the description below. So one of my criticisms about money still stands. You still need a lot of money to start a party like this, to run a party like this, and just basing it off of individual donations is tough. But that said, I mean, go right at it. I'm not saying don't do it. I think it's a great idea. I have another criticism though, reading through their case. So they assume they'll attract half the Democratic voters and half the independents. So when writing up their case for why a People's Party makes sense, they make the assumption, which I think it's a fair assumption, that half the Democratic Party are progressives and then half the independent voters are progressives. So you have most people now consider themselves to be independent. So a large swath of them, I could totally see them being independent. And especially in the last election, if Bernie was going against Trump, I think Bernie would have absolutely destroyed Trump. But so I understand that argument. But the failure with that thinking is that you assume people, even if they agree with your platform, that they're going to vote for you, that they're going to vote for a People's Party, a candidate within a People's Party campaign. Now that is flawed thinking, because a lot of people believe in the Green Party platform, but they don't vote Green. So there's this idea where people have immediately going in, they don't think a third party has a chance. So instead of actually voting their conscience or their principles and voting for a third party, they vote for the party they typically, one of the two big parties is what typically happens. So they have their work cut out for them, because they have to convince people that it makes sense to vote for a People's Party and that it would be successful in a campaign and that they're not wasting their vote. And that's really the biggest barrier to a third party being successful, is convincing people to break out of the two-party system. So while I got some of the initial facts wrong, I like the case that they make. I think it's a fantastic platform. I think they should absolutely go forward with it and try to push this. But reading through what they're doing, I do think, just my opinion, I think the better approach right now is what Justice Democrats are doing. And that is taking over the Democratic Party. Now, in the draft Bernie case, they make the case that that's been tried before. People have tried to take over the Democratic Party before, and it hasn't worked. Sure, but the difference now is that there really is a massive movement. I mean, the Bernie Sanders wing is half the Democratic Party. I wouldn't say that was the case in the past when Democrats or people were trying to take over the Democratic Party in the past. So that's changed. So I think there's actually more of a case now, or a better chance to actually take over the party with the Justice Democrats approach of bringing up or supporting candidates that don't take big money and actually represent the people. And that's what Justice Democrats are doing. So I'll also link to them below if you haven't heard of Justice Democrats. The whole platform, the whole idea is that they're going to support candidates who don't take any big money. That is like that's the one thing they can't do, the candidates do. But otherwise, so they have a progressive platform that is kind of a guideline, but it's not enforced. The only thing that's enforced is they don't take big money. And I think that's smart, because what that means is you have a candidate that actually represents your district rather than representing big money. And some districts may be more conservative or more liberal than others. So it makes sense to not have to enforce the entire platform, but have a general idea that you represent, as a candidate, you represent the actual people that you're supposed to represent, and you're not representing your big money donors. So that's why I think the Justice Democrats platform or idea will be more effective. And taking over the Democratic Party is simply a more quicker, effective way to go about it than starting a party from scratch, because the party already exists, and it's just a matter of electing the right people to take over that party. So that's that. That's my correction for that video. I want to thank RJ Mastro for reaching out to me. If you ever see one of my videos and you have some connection to it and I got some facts wrong, feel free to send me a message on Twitter or find some way to message me, and I'll try to make a correction in this sort of Friday wrap-up video. Now let's get to some comments. So I'm quite happy so far with the amount of comments that are appearing on my videos. I reply to a lot of them. I try to engage with the audience, especially if you make a great comment or a positive comment. So I'm going to start representing some of these comments on this sort of wrap-up video that I'm going to do. I'm going to see if it's going to be a consistent thing on Fridays. I may not do it every Friday, but when I feel compelled, I'll do a video like this, and I'll make sure to include some awesome comments that are on the page. And they're not just going to be positive comments. I'll also include criticisms and disagreements, as long as you form a good argument. And so if you're calling me names, or you're calling somebody that I'm covering in the video names, or whatever, if you're doing that, I have no interest. There's nothing there to work with. But if you're going to send a comment where you're critiquing something I said and I maybe got some facts wrong, then absolutely, I'll be happy to put that in the video and discuss it and show your point of view. So the first comment I want to get to here is just a nice comment that I got. So this one's nice. Don't worry, some of them are a little more critiquey. But so this one says, this is from Crazy Type, saying, "Awesome. I like your use of logic and reasoning. That is a rare gem on the internet. Subscribed. A bit too harsh on Dore for my liking, but everyone is allowed to have an opinion." Okay, so this was a comment on the Jimmy Dore, Sam Seder / Joy Reid video. I was kind of afraid that I came off this way. So in the video, I mentioned that I met Jimmy Dore. I like Jimmy Dore. It doesn't mean I agree with everything he said. And I maybe came off a bit too harsh on him than I really wanted to. And that's simply because of the fact that I may have been overcompensating, because I actually do really like Jimmy Dore. In fact, me and my girlfriend last month, we paid a trip almost literally to just go see a Jimmy Dore show in Burbank, a live aggressive progressive show. So I'm a fan. But at the same time, just because I'm a fan of somebody doesn't mean I have to agree with everything they say, and doesn't mean I can't critique them. So as much as I'm a fan of Jimmy, I don't see the reason to cover Seth Rich. I know I'm going to get a ton of comments now saying Seth Rich is real. That's fine. Okay, you think it's legit? You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But it doesn't interest me, and I don't think it really has any bearing on politics. Let's say the DNC did kill Seth Rich. Now what? Who cares? Like, I know that sounds kind of harsh or ridiculous, but really, like, I want to cover I want to cover the politics and how it's discussed in the media and the misconceptions that happen with that. I'm not Law and Order. I'm not here to solve murder cases. So if you want to cover murder cases, cool. That's not what I'm going to do. But so anyways, what I was saying. So Jimmy Dore, I love the guy, but it doesn't mean I think it makes sense to cover all these things. But yeah, I may have been too harsh on him. The video he did on Hillary possibly having Parkinson's, some people clarified what that video was about. So I did watch that video back when he aired it. The months or whatever, how many, it's like 6 months that have passed since he probably posted that video, or like 9 months. So I must have forgot some of the details, but people were telling me that he didn't say that Hillary had Parkinson's. What he was saying was that because the Clinton campaign was not being honest about what actually is going on with Clinton, or if anything's going on with her, then it opens the air to have these sort of conspiracy theories come out. And I get that. I totally get that. But that doesn't mean that we should give voice to it. So will people question, hey, why isn't Hillary campaigns being honest with us? Yeah, you can question that. But then why does that all of a sudden mean that she now has a severe illness? So that's the leap that I don't really understand. And I mean, when has the Clinton campaign ever been honest? Like, so just because they're dishonest doesn't mean that, you know, they're being run by aliens or something. So there's a weird gap there that I'm not quite jumping, that some other people are jumping, that I don't quite understand. But if you guys want to speculate and do some conspiracies and have some fun with it, go right ahead. That's not what I want to do. I try to work within facts, or at least within policy and politics and media, and that's kind of my space. I don't want to talk about conspiracy theories, even if there's some truth to them possibly, but that's not my area. So there. Next comment. So this one was on the Joe Scarborough video. Corporate Democrats employ the same dishonest tactics against the Bernie wing as Republicans do against Democrats. As a matter of fact, the Republican Party is now off the chart. Corporate Democrats are what Republicans used to be, and the Bernie wing is what Democrats used to be during the FDR days. And that comment was from CB. So this is a great point. So in the video, the Joe Scarborough video that I have, I mentioned how Democrats don't misconstrue what Republicans do with their policy, while Republicans do misconstrue what Democratic policy does. So, for example, the AHCA. On the AHCA, Republicans are trying to act like it's not this terrible healthcare bill that it actually is, while the Democrats are being honest about it and looking at the CBO score and saying, yeah, you're actually taking 20 million plus people off healthcare. It's not a good thing. So in terms of how Republicans talk about Democrats, they'll say Obama's a socialist, or he's doing all this crazy, wasting too much money, being very socialist. Like Obama is nowhere near a socialist. Obama's a centrist at the best. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That's the kind of misrepresenting of each party's positions that the Democrats don't do about Republicans, but Republicans do about Democrats. Now, this comment makes a great point. While Democrats don't do that about Republicans, they do that about the Bernie wing. So they try to make it sound like the Bernie Sanders platform is pie in the sky. Remember Hillary Clinton during last year's campaign talking about single payer will never come to pass, like just being very outrageous and just ridiculous with the sort of progressive positions that we should be trying to move towards. So corporate Democrats absolutely misconstrue what the Bernie wing does in terms of policy. So yeah, that's a great comment. Next comment. This is from the Night Echo, and I don't remember quite which video this was on. I think it was on one of the Corbyn videos, but I'm not too sure. But he says, in England, I'd be considered a hard-right conservative. However, I'm a centrist who has lots of beliefs that are on both the left and the right. But the main thing I love about this channel is that it's constructive and explains points that differ my own, and I still feel like somehow there is a possibility that in some ways I'm right in certain situations and you're right in other situations. So I love seeing comments like this. Comments from people who may not be on my side ideologically, may not be a progressive or liberal, but they're conservatives and they can understand my point of view, because what I try to do is I try to present my point of view rationally. That's why it's called the Rational National. I try to do it with facts and, you know, with data, and I explain why I feel certain ways. So even if you don't agree with me in my position, you at least understand why I've taken that position. And so yeah, I love seeing comments like this. I hope more conservatives watch this channel, and it's not just progressives, because I really want to open up the conversation and sort of let everybody in and get the views from all different perspectives. Next comment. This is the last comment I'm going to talk about, and it is my favorite comment. And you're going to see why in a second, because this comment, honestly, gave me hope for humanity. It really did. And you can see it pinned to the top of my Twitter profile currently. If you want to skip ahead and I'm talking too much right now, you can go and see it there right now. So this is the comment. This is on the Jeremy Corbyn just proved everyone wrong video. So this is from Danielle Onyet. And she said, "I like what you said about people being wrong, and then thinking about and questioning why they were wrong. I did that after I voted for Hillary in the primaries in the election, and she subsequently lost. A lot of people went straight to blaming Bernie supporters. I went on the internet and started searching for why Hillary lost. All the people who blamed Bernie supporters were the same people who never thought Hillary would lose. So I decided to start listening to the TYT, David Pakman, Jimmy Dore, and now the Rational National. Thanks. My eyes are open." I love this comment. I want to put this on my wall because this shows me that there's hope. This shows me that even if you make a mistake, even if you may have been in the other camp before and you thought you knew all the facts, you thought you knew what you were talking about, there's still room to learn and grow and improve. And this shows this was somebody who was a Hillary supporter, voted for Hillary in the primaries, and then in the election, which in terms of the general election, a lot of Bernie supporters voted for Hillary in the general election, so that point doesn't really matter. But the fact that she voted for Hillary over Bernie in the primaries, and that's ultimately what lost the Democrats the election. And she was able to see that all the people that was pushing Hillary, or that were pushing Hillary and said that Hillary is the best chance for Democrats to win an election, she realized they were wrong because she lost to Donald Trump. Every time I say that, it blows my mind. Hillary lost to Donald Trump. That should be enough of a wake-up call for the corporate Democrat wing of the party and all the Hillary supporters to realize, I was wrong. Why can't they see how wrong they are? This commenter sees it. Why can't Joy Reid, Neera Tanden, Joan Walsh, who's that guy on Twitter who tweets a lot of dumb shit? Peter something. You know what? I'm not even gonna mention his name. But there are a lot of freaking crazy Hillary supporters that have not learned a thing since the general election. So it's awesome to see comments like this, and that's the hope I have with this sort of channel and other channels like she mentioned that are spreading that message and spreading some rationality and some actual facts and some actual data. And show, look, when Hillary lost the election, the day she lost the election, Bernie polled higher than Donald Trump on election day. Bernie would have won. He would have won. Not even to mention the fact that Hillary only won the primary because she won the southern states that she all lost in the general. Meanwhile, Bernie won most of the Rust Belt. He would have won those states in the general. I mean, these are just facts. So if you don't want to look at the facts, and not even, again, the fact that Bernie's popularity continued to rise, even after he lost the primaries, continued to rise after the general election. Hillary's support right now, 35%. Bernie, he's the most popular politician in the country. So what does that tell you? The Hillary supporters were clearly wrong to think that Hillary was the better candidate. They just were. And they're having a hard time accepting it. But I'm glad to see comments like this that do accept it, do understand it, and do learn from it. All right, so you've watched some of my videos. You watched this video. Somehow you got through all this. Good job. I'm proud of you. But now you get to the point where it's about me. So if you don't want to hear about me, you can shut it off. It's all good. I won't be offended. But if you do want to hear about me, learn more about who's running this channel, who's doing these videos, then let me just tell you a bit about myself. So first off, I should probably mention that I'm not American. Okay, so I'm Canadian, and I think it's important to mention that for multiple reasons. First, I don't want to misrepresent myself. So I don't want you to think that I'm a voting American. I'm not. But what this allows me to do, I believe, from my perspective, I think it gives me a unique objectivity when covering American politics or British politics or politics around the world or news around the world. Because I'm separated from that ecosystem, because I'm not in the American ecosystem, I don't have any horse in the race. It doesn't ultimately really matter to me. But it does matter to me in the sense that I like certain policies. I like to see countries go in certain positive directions. And I think there is a clear wave of progressivism, especially, I mean, when you look at the Scandinavian countries and Canada and, most of Europe, they're largely way more progressive than Americans are. And Americans live in this bubble where it's hard for them to really see outside themselves and really understand. Wait, you're telling me every other country has universal health care except us? Yeah. Really? So, and sometimes it's hard to really grasp that when you're living inside of that bubble. So me being Canadian, me being outside that system, I'm able to have this perspective where I can look inward at other countries and sort of critique what they're doing. And some people may not like that. Some people may think, you're not American, you can't tell me what to do. That's cool. You don't have to listen to me. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not. What I'm trying to do is present a perspective that you may not have otherwise. And I'm presenting it from an outsider. It's an outsider's perspective looking in and looking at the improvements that could and should be made to your country. And that's what I hope to bring. So it's kind of odd that I don't cover Canadian politics too much, but I do want to do more Canadian politics as well. So I'm trying to get everything in. It's tough. But American politics interest me a lot. And a lot of it's because there is so much that can be improved, so much that can be changed. And America really is this leader on the world stage, in the sense that what the policies that are pushed forward in your country end up affecting everybody else. So this example that I always go back to is in, I believe it was 1971, America pushed for a ban on all psychedelics. So the UN, they pushed for this at the UN. The UN banned the use of psychedelics everywhere. And the reason why this is such a bad thing is because it was in the middle of all this research showing all the benefits of psychedelics like LSD or like psilocybin mushrooms. It was showing serious mental health improvements in people who use them. And because of this ban, all that research was shut down, and they weren't able to actually explore those benefits. So that sort of thing, when you have that sort of backwards behavior in a country like the US, it affects everybody else. And now we're slowly coming around to the fact that, wait, you mean MDMA can help with PTSD? Yes. You mean ayahuasca can help people with depression? Yes. You mean mushrooms can help with depression, anxiety, and PTSD? Yes. So there's all this research showing how powerful psychedelic medicines are. And it's taken so long to reverse that simply because the US started this off on the wrong foot in back in the 70s. So that's why it's so important to cover American politics and really push forward a progressive vision that is actually evidence-based, math-based, science-based. Because if you don't have the evidence to back up what you're trying to implement, then you don't have an argument to make. Now, that's just the Canadian part. So let me tell you more about me. So in addition to doing this channel, I also work at ScreenRant.com and CBR.com, where I host and produce news videos. So if you ever go to those two websites, you may see videos on the side where there's news videos, or you may click a news link and you may see my face pop up. So yeah, that's where I am. But before doing that, I was actually a Green Party MP candidate. So in the 2015 election in Canada, I ran as a Green Party MP candidate. I lost, but I got, guess how many votes I got? 1,420. 1,420 votes. Get it? Green Party. We push marijuana or cannabis legalization. Green Party, 420. Anyways, so it's like I have an audience here, but it was an awesome experience. I didn't expect to win, but you know, a lot of times you don't, as a politician, politicians won't tell you this, but when you're running, even though you oftentimes you really don't expect to win. Especially if you're an independent small party like a Green Party. But the reason you run is because you want to push these ideas out there. You want people to hear these progressive ideas that they may have not heard, that they may not hear otherwise. And you're able to do that through, whether it's through debates or canvassing, and really getting these ideas out there and hopefully spreading them. So it was a great experience. I might run again in a few years. I'll see how that goes. I'll see how this channel is working out if I'm too busy. But you never know. It was fun. Maybe I'll do it again. So I also have a background in marketing, and then really, my real background is in video production. So I went to school for video production. I came out. I started working at a large broadcast news station in Canada, and I was a video editor in broadcast news for about a year and a half before I realized this is just freelance work. I'm not making a whole lot of money. And I need to have a real job. So that's why I moved into marketing after that. And then realized I don't love marketing all that much and I kind of want to do this. So yeah, but that's my background. That's kind of where the bug was put in my brain to start talking about news and do it independently. So that's what I love about this channel is I have complete creative control. So back when I was editing video news, I wasn't writing the scripts. I wasn't hosting it. I was just cutting whatever pieces, cutting images to script was my entire job. And it got monotonous because it got to a point where it felt like this is really just, I'm like a robot. I'm just taking orders in terms of looking at the script and then finding the images to match that script. And then, I mean, in that sort of job, over one shift, you would cut like 10 plus news stories, and they go so quick because it's the same formula over and over again. Like some of them you have like sound off the top, and then you have the image of what's happening, you have an establishing shot, and then you have the anchor at the end, and it's a lot of it is just, there's this formula to it that when you do it enough times, I mean, some people love that environment. They love going to work. They know it's predictable. They know exactly what they're going to do. They get to go home and they live their life. That's cool. For me, I want my job to be more engrossing. I want it to be different every day. I want to learn things every day. So me just doing the same tasks over and over again, it gets boring. And that's sort of why I didn't felt like I fit in that space. As much as I enjoyed working in news and as much as I enjoyed video editing, I have an interest in everything. So being able to do a channel like this is awesome. And that brings me to my last point. And that's, if you like my stuff, if you like these videos, I think it would be great if you join me on Patreon. So I'm going to put a link somewhere on the screen right now. Or below the video. So below the video, if I don't have a link on here, below the video, there's a link to the Patreon page. It's patreon.com/therationalnational. Now, I suggest giving me $3 a month. If you want to give less or give more, it's totally up to you. $3 a month will get you some behind the scenes videos. I do at least one behind the scenes video a week where I tell you some new information. The latest video I have is why the show's called The Rational National. There's actually a story to it, and it's like an 8-minute video. I go more into it than just that. But so I try to give just a better idea of the people that give me money. I want them to feel like they're really part of a community. And right now I think there's, I don't know, 8, 10 people that are patrons. Honestly, I forgot. It's funny that I forgot that number. But so it's a small number right now. But I just launched it. I've been doing these videos, honestly, consistently for, I think, just a month. So it's kind of awesome how fast the channel's grown. I mean, 4 weeks ago, I believe I had less than 1,000 subscribers, and now it's almost at 9,000. So the growth is amazing, and I'll really only be able to do this full time if I'm getting money, so I can live. Unfortunately, I need money to live, and I can't do it. I can't do this channel full time right now, but at some point, that is the ultimate goal, and once that happens, there's a lot more content to come out of me. So if you like my stuff, throw me a few dollars a month on Patreon. It's super appreciated. And as the Patreon grows, I'll add more tiers as well and try to think of new types of content to add. And if you're a patron or if you're just a subscriber, let me know what you want to see on Patreon. What kind of bonus content would you like to see? And that'll inform me in terms of how I approach Patreon and what I actually offer on there. So, you know what? If you like me, send me a few bucks. It's super appreciated. And that's this Friday wrap up. Oh my God, I'm like, it's hot outside, guys. It's like 30 degrees. I'm like, gross. But it's all good. You were with me this entire time. It's been 37 minutes on here. I'm probably going to cut some of this out, so maybe it's less. But I'm so glad that you watched this video. And keep watching. If you're not a subscriber yet, hit subscribe. And yeah, thank you. Keep watching, and got a whole new bunch of videos next week. Later.